We're starting off the day today with Orion and Ariel and some Treekin, which actually used up all of our money, which means that there wasn't really much in the way of infantry. So we only have 3 units of infantry to back them up, and that's it. It's a pretty gross blob build, but sort of unintentional in its make. We're up against the Greenskins, who number at 1,000. So we're going to have to kill about 3 units. 3 greenskins for every wood elf that falls today. But Orion and Ariel are very powerful. I haven't played around with them much, but I'm excited to see how they can do here. Our cavalry will be able to back up this blob, and hopefully it goes well. That is true, J Phoenix. Hello, Ben. Nice to see you. Always nice to get some regulars on stream. Now, let's see. What does he have? He has Grom the Paunch, Rock Lobbers. This is very much a, it feels very much like your standard greenskin build before the patch. Except now we have Orion and Ariel, which Grom can't really deal with. And you know what? I'm not sure he actually has anything that can deal with Orion and Ariel here. They are pretty scary. Oh, whoops. He actually goes for my Blade Singer, something that I wasn't ready for, and hits Orion pretty hard too. So very nice early skirmishing phase from my opponent. Going to continue doing damage to Orion. Our Blade Singers are still taking damage, and I think we'll pump a heal into them. And we can also start shooting these Goblin Riders. I think being very active with our cavalry will help here, and I'm going to try avoiding healing Orion as much as possible. Since without much burst damage, Orion is much better served just using his crazy healing buff. So now he's going to start throwing some of his shots into these stone trolls, which doesn't actually take out any models. A little bit unfortunate there, but not the worst. Let's see. Yeah, wow, the stone trolls can actually take a beating from Orion, but anyways, we're going to see if we can start winning with these Sylvan Knights. Orion will continue throwing his shots. He's not especially needed here. Some fanatics are moving in, take quite a bit of damage there, but we'll be able to continue healing up those Blade Singers, no problem. The front line is buckling for the Greenskins, and the Rock Lobbers have very few targets outside of our cavalry. So I think if we actually start circling around with our cavalry, then the... Oh wow, that healing range is really short. If we start circling around with our cavalry, those Rock Lobbers are going to have to waste their time turning. And while they turn, we will be able to... Oh geez, big AoE's coming down. Yeah, while they turn, they're not doing any damage, which helps a lot. Let's see, so our front line now is actually beginning to slow down a bit. Partially because of the loss of our cavalry there. But maybe we'll be able to stop the Rock Lobbers now. So we're going to pull in our cavalry to see if we can take them out. Let's see, stone trolls are still an issue here. And I haven't really been using Orion's abilities too much. So let's begin throwing them down. Ariel definitely wants to keep healing troops. And yeah, she doesn't really have the range to reach the Sylvan Knights. Let's see here. I can throw down an AoE here though to actually let her escape. And yeah, I'm quite sure that I'm misplaying Ariel a bit. And balance of power is actually not looking great for us, but we've been focusing everything that can. We're trying to deal with everything that can kill Orion here. So as soon as those Goblin Archers are out of ammo, I'd be a lot more confident. Let's see here. Did we actually get a heal off on the Sylvan Knights? I'm not sure. But okay, let's take stock again. We still have our cavalry. and they'll be able to chase off units. Aerial is extremely tanky, and we can throw down AoEs on top of her to keep her safe. There we go. Our Treekin are still doing healthy. We've just about taken out the Goblin Fanatics, but our cavalry is getting really caught up by these Spider Riders here. Treekin too, they're engaged with big guns, which is a little bit worrying. And yeah, I'd say this is a little bit sketchy, but hopefully Orion will be able to carry. The archers are nearly out of ammunition, and once you rout those big guns, I will be in a much more comfortable position. Soul Stealer too, on top of all these units, will be great. Aerial will get her healing, and that should swing things in our favor a good deal. So there we go. We finally engaged the rock lobbers. Orion just has to be careful that he doesn't get sniped out, and then we'll be just fine. Aerial will continue healing these stag knights. They're very important for us, and we'll keep chasing off these units. We've been blessed that our opponent has decided to deploy so far back, since it does mean that his troops start off the map rather easily. We just have to make sure that we don't hit army losses, actually, which is getting a little bit close. And let's see, how is Orion doing? He's actually pretty healthy. And man, we really got to make sure those stone trolls don't come back. They are a pain to deal with. They're going to go in over there. And actually, no, we aren't able to catch them, which is a little bit bad. And yeah, it's going to come down to Orion versus Grom, I guess. If we kill this caster, that helps us a little bit. But we have hit army losses now. Orion is pretty low, but there's no source of burst damage, and we still have our spells on Aerial. She'll be using them on the stone trolls to try and get them out of the game as soon as possible. Actually, taking out a model. And now it's just a big blob fight. We don't have another Soul Stealer, but we do have a huge AoE that we can throw down here, which should get a big rout out of these units. After which we can use Orion to throw down another AoE, and that should get them all to break. So clumping up here, you can see, is a very bad idea versus the Orion Aerial combo. And we might actually get a really gross win, but our opponent looks like he is set up to draw kite here. So that's a possibility at the very least. And we don't have much to deal with it. But yeah, we're really seeing the power of Orion and Aerial now. Since Orion basically can't die unless Grom gets some very nasty hits on top of him. The surround, once again, groups up here, but we have another AoE in the bag, and we'll be able to probably rout off the rest of these guys with a bit of terror. And there we go, a good deal of damage. And now, yeah, we're really seeing why this combo is very strong. Aerial though is taking a lot of heat, and I'm going to have to use an Apotheosis on her just to keep her alive instead of a Soul Stealer, which would have been much better. We're going to have to really deal with find a way to deal with Grom here, since he's doing a lot of damage, and I think our opponent might actually have this game. He's set up to kill Aerial at the very least, and he has 20 seconds to do so before she gets another heal in. Ooh, a nice and Vindictive Glare comes in, brings her down to 200 HP, and a big charge in from Grom should get her killed, if not the big guns. So there we go, he charges in. She's at 50 life, and one more hit will deal with her. And he does take her out. So very good on our opponent. And now it comes down to Orion. Will he be able to kill him? We're not entirely sure. Orion has 500 HP. And another AoE to take out these big guns that are all around him. After that, it'll just be Grom. But Grom is no pushover. He does a lot of damage. And things could definitely get scary. These units supposedly have terror routed before, so they're not routing again. And I think our opponent has what he needs to win it. he wants to speed it up. Yeah. He has what he needs to actually kill the army, I think. And I'd say the game came down to my cavalry micro. We actually needed to get closer to aerial to we needed to get closer to aerial to actually get healing on our cavalry. And because we sort of just let them all die, that resulted in the loss. So GG. Let's see, we don't really need to go over the army again in the end screen since we just had time to explain things. But we can take a quick look at some damage numbers. And yeah, my cavalry play was pretty shoddy that game, I gotta say. We'll keep working on that. So, for this next game, we are playing Empire against the Dark Elves. A pretty, feels very even matchup. Yeah, and a very even feeling matchup where both sides sort of take skirmishers, they take cavalry, and they usually have a lord that can do some good fighting. For what we have today, we brought a cannon, and yeah, we brought a mix of everything. The real notable points here is our flavor of knights, which are Knights of the Blazing Sun, and our caster and lord, which is Boris, which allows us to take a bright wizard for that fire damage. He'll be buffing up the Knights of the Blazing Sun, and we'll hopefully be able to win our fight against Cold One Knights. What's it? You kill cavalry with pew pew? I see. Okay, okay. I like it. Well, yeah, I'm ready. So let's get into it. Yeah, our opponent, the Dark Elves, has brought no artillery, which is pretty common here, and a Cardibrus, which is a lot less common. No, a War Hydra, so it will be regenerating. But it might be a little bit exposed without the cavalry support. Our cannon will be able to fire down range 2, and as long as no Dark Riders get into our backline, I think we'll be fine. So we'll position our camera so we can see Dark Riders if they do decide to come in. And we're going to use our nice skirmishing advantage to really bother the Dark Elves here. Our cannon can change targets. This is something you generally want to do, just to make sure that your opponent doesn't dodge it too much. Ooh, he actually has some shades, which give a very nice volley against my Outriders. And it looks like he'll probably be able to push them back. Let's see here. Given the fact that he has shades, I don't think we will see too many hidden Dark Riders. And what's this? Supreme Sorceress of Dark, so we can use Boris to start hunting her down. Our cavalry will start to move into support, and hopefully this mobility advantage will pay off. Those shades are pretty scary though. We get another nice volley off. And now it looks like it's going to be Boris versus a Manticore. Ooh, a good breath attack on top of my Pistoliers. It's a lot of damage. And we're not doing the best in terms of our skirmish play today. We've taken a lot of damage on the Pistoliers, and we have to be ready. We have to be careful with them since we don't have any healing. Boris, though, is winning his fight against the Manticore, which is nice, and I think he's just going to chase it off. These archers may fire in on him. But we have knights coming in to support, and I don't think anything can actually get the knights off of these Black Art Corsair hand bows. I guess that also explains why Boris didn't take too much damage versus them. Their accuracy can actually be pretty bad. So now some of the Dark Elf front line is coming in, but a little bit slowly. And we'll actually be able to get quite a few shots on them as they engage. Our great swords will also be able to jump right on top of them. So we're going to expect a very nice trade over there. On the right flank, some Cold One Knights have been exposed. And we're going to send our Pistoliers towards them to to begin doing some damage. Whoops, my hotkeys are a bit messed up. Let's see, so we have to move our guys around a little bit. And now that we dealt with those Corsairs, it's mostly the Hydra that we have to worry about. Let's see here. Our Knights are also getting engaged on by Dark Riders. Thank goodness it's just Dark Riders, though. And we're doing okay damage to the War Hydra. I'm now thinking... I'm wondering if I overextended with Boris. It feels like that could be the case. But we've been... We're lucky that most of our opponent's forces aren't actually engaged in the front line yet. See, our great swords are engaged on the War Hydra, a little bit not optimal. And our cavalry is taking a really long time to come into support. Boris is on the other side of the map. And yes, I would say that we did overextend with him. But I think our frontline fight's actually going pretty well right now. The War Hydra's gone. And we have sort of mismanaged our... We've mismanaged our Winds of Magic a little bit. I think we could have been using it more aggressively. But at least we have a lot now to use as this fight goes on. These Corsairs are going to take a big burning head. And hopefully that gets them to rout. We'll have to see. Boris is still coming back. Our Knights of the Blazing Sun are engaged over there. And our cannon can keep that War Hydra back. It does actually recover from routing. So let's hope it doesn't get back into the fight too quickly. Let's see here. These archers too, the Dark Elf archers, are going to start being a little bit of a problem. And if we don't peel for our Knights of the Blazing Sun, they'll be able to get in a lot of damage. So we're actually going to disengage from these Cold One Knights, using our Pistoliers to try and deal with them. And then our cavalry is going to deal with all these Corsairs. Horse is nearly finally back, but man, that long journey is it's punishing me quite a bit. Our Knights are getting taken out. Let's see if we can charge to increase their leadership. And we're really hoping that... what's it? I guess, yeah, we're just hoping that Boris will be able to carry things out today. Let's see, this Sorceress of Dark is actually being very aggressive right now. And I think instead of diving the Hydra, it's going to be better to try and snipe her out. Our Pistoliers are going to deal with the Hydra instead. And we have some handgunners too, which will go in also. Boris will hopefully be able to get a few hits in on the Sorcerer, will increase his melee attack, and he gets some very nice hits. The War Hydra is taking a lot of damage now, but we still have to deal with these range units. We only have mobility in the form of the Pistoliers. And the Sorceress has actually made it out. Our front line is buckling now. And we're going to pull these Knights back and put them in reserves. This War Hydra will get taken out by Boris, though. There's not a whole ton it can do against him now that he gets a nice side charge. And a fireball to the side should spell its fate. It can't regen anymore since it's at a teal cap. So we're in a nice position where Boris can carry things out. Not too many threats for him. He just has to dodge all of these shots. Black Arc Corsairs are moving in. We can't really engage them with our Pistoliers. Their combat stats are a little bit too strong. So we're just going to run away from them for now. Meanwhile, these Pistoliers can do what damage they can to the Sorceress. They don't have a ton of good targets, so that's what they'll have to settle on. And I'm thinking a fireball on her might be in order. The Boris is taking a lot of damage from the Shades, though. And I think we're going to bring in some Pistoliers to charge those Shades and try to shut them down. Let's see, after that, Boris will be able to deal with the Dark Shards. And I think we'll be able to kill the Sorceress with the charge from our Bright Wizard. Our control of Boris, though, has been a little bit bad. He's taken a lot of hits. But I think he's still healthy enough to do what he needs to do. Especially now with the Sorceress gone. Means that we will be able to rout off the Shades. But will she escape? She gets out of range, but we have a fireball. Hopefully that takes her out, and then we can get the big leadership hit for the Dark Elves. And there we go, it does indeed take her out. So that gives us enough time to rout off the Shades with Terror, going into a full rout. And then, and yeah, now we can just use Boris to bounce around, taking out units, as well as he can. A little bit, that was a little bit close there. I think we definitely had some miss micros there, but it's looking good. There are some Corsairs coming in over here now, who are going to be a little bit scary. And you know what? I said things were looking good, but with all of our troops routing, it's actually not the best situation in the world. Boris is going to have to come back and try to rally the troops here. And he has like a full HP unit of Corsairs to kill. But geez, a fireball actually takes out like a third of their HP. Is very huge in this late game situation. Since Boris can now come in, rout off these troops, and then move in on top of the Corsairs afterwards. So that should be a big charge there. There's about one more volley that can come in on Boris. Oh, it looks like actually 2 volleys. So he takes a lot of damage. And the balance of power is evening out. A good charge on these Corsairs, though, helps out quite a bit. And we still have some Pistoliers with a little bit of ammo. That's good specifically because it can give the shot in the back penalty to these Dark Elf units, which does let us break them. So we rout off a half HP unit of Corsairs, and we can chase them off with Pistoliers now. Meanwhile, Boris can finally finish off these Dark Shards, and as long as they don't get too big of a volley on top of them, I think we'll be good. This will be a huge balance of power swing, though. Being able to, being able to chase off those high HP Corsairs. And yeah, with some Terror routes, we're good. Oh my gosh. That was pretty scary. Yes, Knights of the Blazing Sun actually took a lot of damage from Corsairs in the back. I'm not sure if that's normal, but it was definitely surprising for me. Yeah, I think it was this unit. It didn't get a whole ton of value, but the other one sort of paid off for itself. The Pistoliers were amazing. The cannon even paid for itself too, which is a little bit uncommon for artillery. But a lot of that win was because of Boris and his Terror routes. Oh man. Getting into the game, we're playing Wood Elves. We have a sort of tree build here with Durthu, with a double Glade Captain to support. Can't take too much damage, but there is a little bit of healing in the form of these Zotes here. Put them on 1. Put our cavalry on 3. And I think we're good to go. We're hoping that the High Elf Archers won't be able to break through the armor of our Treekin. And after we win the frontline fight, we'll just collapse on the back line with all of these, with our tanky units here, Durthu included. He may be very hard to take down depending on what build he has. Our cavalry will be in the back to distract, and immediately we're seeing a Lithanar, a Shadowcaster too. That's interesting. And Illyrian Reavers along the sides, so we can actually take a decent fight against them. And we just want to get into this fight as quickly as possible. These Dryads will flank, moving along the side. And our Glade Captains will be moving in, trying to engage. We did misplay a tiny bit there. With our cavalry. But our Glade Captains will be able to get in the fray now. We should be winning the cavalry fight. And the Lithanar is going to get chased off now. Our opponent does have quite a bit of... Yes, quite a bit of... I don't know what he has quite a bit of. He has quite a bit of AP, yes. So he brought a bunch of White Lions. which could be a problem here. Let's see. And Durthu, he really needs some armor here, since he's getting hit with so many arrows. Our Dryads also really need to push through to shut down those archers, and they're doing a good job at it. Our Zotes now are able to engage, but it's all Lothern Seaguard in the back, which is a little bit scary there. However, our Hero Core is much stronger, and I'm expecting we'll be able to chase off this Shadowcaster rather easily. See a Lithanar, either his clone revealing himself here, or we've just been attacking the wrong one. Presumably it's a clone though, since we saw a Lithanar at the start of the game. We're going to just ignore it. For Glade Captains, we're going to keep trying to chase off the mage. They're getting bogged down by spears. And our Zotes are running into some trouble too. Durthu at the very least is healthy. And we can bring our Treekin in here to support. Meanwhile, on the cavalry front, we're doing okay, but not excellent. We sort of traded out on that front, and our cavalry won't really be able to support much in the rest of the battle here. I lost track of a Lithanar. I'm not sure which one the real one is. So we might be attacking the clone here. And that could be rough. Durthu, though, is now getting into the fray. He will be able to cause terror on those Lothern Seaguard. And this Lithanar is running around quite a bit. So if he was a clone, I would expect him to not juke so much. So that's promising. Let's see here. The Mage of Shadows is almost out. And I should have a Glade Captain here. Yes, I do. But we're really just getting bogged down in spears here. This guy, he adapted his build for the new meta, and we're getting punished for it pretty hard. Lithanar getting some good shots too on my trees here. And I believe this is GG. Let's see, we'll need to throw down some healing over here to help these guys. And it's a Hail Mary on killing a Lithanar now. Let's see, can I get my Glade Captain to actually get in there though? Man, she's getting really bogged down by those spears. Mass changes showing their effectiveness at this point. With all my troops sort of getting mucked up. See, Durthu has now routed. But maybe we'll be able to kill a Lithanar and then get some Terra routes. I sort of doubt it myself, but it's the best we can hope for at this point. Many of these archers are still doing really well. And our Treekin are getting in. A Lithanar's taking some damage, but he's getting a lot of shots in on Durthu, which is pretty painful. Our Glade Captains are getting mucked up. And I'm going to call GG on this. There's far too many spears for our large units to kill. And yeah, there still wasn't much we can do there. I think our cavalry play again, though, actually, was another point that could have been worked on. These guys, they didn't really pay for themselves. We wanted them to shut down the ranged, but they couldn't do so. And our over-reliance on using trees got punished very hard. Our opponent was extremely ready for that there. Yeah, those are my thoughts on that. For the actual game, we brought a bunch of guns. We have our cavalry. And we have a bunch of AP troops with the new addition of cheaper halberds, hoping to see if they can actually kill some dwarves. I think their biggest downside is their extremely low melee attack. And with high melee defense, dwarves will probably be able to still hold up well against them. But that's what we're testing today. I'd like to see if that is possible or not. For our opponent, he has a troop count of 1,000 and an interesting formation of dwarf warriors with an army of 1,000,000 cannons, which is pretty interesting. We're going to move in Marcus, and he could target fire the cannons, but breaking the front line here is actually, I think, is a better situation for us. So to try and deal with that, Marcus is going to shoot lengthwise down into these dwarf warriors, and we're going to see how much damage it does. Meanwhile, our troops want to be getting in as soon as possible, and our bright wizard needs to be careful to not die. Marcus's shot does surprisingly little damage there against the against the dwarf warriors, but it was a good test. Let's see, these miners with blasting charges are getting really aggressive at this point, and our handgunners are not shooting on them. I'm not sure why. See if we can actually get some shots off. There we go. That's what I like to see. So a big burst comes down on top of them, and we'll be able to continue advancing. Some more miners are coming along this way. And as long as our Bright Wizard is able to continue dodging the cannon shots, I think we'll be pretty comfortable. So we're going to continue trying to break the front line. We missed Micro with our halberds there. I didn't mean for them to engage on the miners. And they take 2/3 of their HP because of that. So the miners actually get all of their blasting charges off. But our handguns at least are doing good damage. Our Bright Wizard is still healthy. And Grombrindle is a little bit scary, but we can shoot him with Marcus. These miners are getting a bit close now. But with a little bit of maneuvering, we should be able to get an engage on them. So he was targeted on my other group of units there. And we were able to shut it down. Let's see, some dwarf warriors are coming in now, but we can pull our handgunners back. And we want to keep them a little bit away from those thunderers. Those thunderers are definitely a little bit scary now. So we're going to shut down the cannons real quick. And then immediately pull our troops to deal with the thunderers. This is because the thunderers do a lot more damage than the cannons. And yeah, they are our priority targets here. Let's see, nice. So we're winning the center fight here, although some of our thunderers are still getting caught, which is a misplay. And Grombrindle is on top of my Bright Wizard, which is definitely not a place we want to be in. Some Slayers are collapsing in on my Knights too. And oh yeah, I forgot, Marcus has a net, so we should have used that on the Dwarves earlier, but we simply forgot. But at the very least, we can throw it down now. Our cavalry is doing well. Our halberds are actually fighting decently versus the dwarf warriors. And as soon as these great swords jump on top of the slayers, I'm going to be feeling much more confident for this game. Our Bright Wizard is continuing to he's going to continue getting hunted down by Grombrindle, and he runs out of the battlefield. So not optimal. I think I misplayed pretty heavily with him. But build-wise, I'd say that we're doing much better than the dwarves here. We might lose Marcus, though. But I don't think we're really hurting on leadership outside of maybe this pocket here. So I think even if we lose him, we should be fine. Just in case, though, we'll take him on fire. We'll take off fire at will on him, just so that we can save that ammunition for the late game. Let's see, so there we go. This pocket of dwarves can get taken out by our great swords. We still have many handgunners at the ready, and we'll just use them to shoot out the rest of the dwarf units. Some of the cannons are back, and I'm not sure where my cavalry is. It looks like they're on some thunderers right now. So we can actually afford to pull them away from the thunderers, and then we'll bounce back to finish off the rest of the cannons. Slayers are in a bad fight now, and Grombrindle will get shot up by all of our guns here, so he is definitely not much of a problem. And there we go. Nice. We get a solid win. Yeah, and I wasn't too worried that game. Our Lord play was especially bad. But I think the Halberdiers did okay. Let's see. A lot of them were still at high HP. Yeah, this guy, I think he got hit by the blasting charges. But this one that was stuck on Dwarf Warriors the whole game, he was on his way to paying for himself. Would we have wanted more great swords, though? Maybe, I'm not sure, but I sort of like having some halberdiers here. Our knights, we could have been a little bit more careful with them. And yeah, I think the dwarf build too was okay. But with that many cannons, you can really get rushed. So you'll have to be careful there. Record. And our next game is up against the Greenskins again. We're going to be trying to redeem ourselves by taking more of a kite build this time. We have our cavalry, mostly glade riders. And this is because we're worried about running into a lot of goblins, like spider riders. Our lord and hero here, Sisters of Twilight and the Waystalker, have abilities to take out rock lobbers, and the Eagle Quiver and Arrows of Kurnos. And we have a life caster to keep our cavalry nice and topped off. We'll be healing the Sisters of Twilight where we can too, but we're going to try focusing on getting their healing proc to see how well that does. For our opponent, he's actually opted for no artillery, which is very interesting because they also deployed extremely far back. Their lord is Warzag, and I'm not seeing too many range units on them, so we'll likely be able to punish the lack of anti-air by just sniping out Warzag at the beginning of the game. To follow attacking rules, though, we will be advancing with our skirmishers, and we're going to be looking for opportunities to use our Arrows of Kurnos too. There we go, and now in range of Warzag, the archers will be able to fire towards us, but if you move forwards after firing, it's pretty easy to dodge to dodge archer fire. The sisters will be getting ready for another shot, and these archers can't really do much to actually hit me here. Meanwhile, our skirmishing force will be able to move up, and they can punish these archers pretty hard. Just gotta get in range. Warzag is now safe, but with these skirmishers here, the Greenskins are in for a rough time. In case he engages with his cavalry, we'll want to move up with our spears, just in case. And now we can just start getting in a ton of damage. Warzag is nowhere near to support. He can't use any of his spells to shut down all these Deepwood scouts. And yeah, they can just go ahead and get a lot of damage in. In fact, now that these archers have actually pulled back, it allows us to begin charging with our cavalry. And yeah, we can really see the strengths of the Wood Elf cavalry and archer play here. There we go. Some nice hits on top of the goblins. And there's just no support for them because they all move back and away from these Deepwood scouts. See, some goblins are getting a little bit close though, but I don't think they'll be able to catch my scouts, and then should be able to punish them for that. Warzag is getting a little bit close now, and we'll have to make sure that we don't get netted down by him. And I think we're good, so we'll just continue to play keep away versus him. We'll chase off these goblins, and now we can start shooting these boar boys. They're also positioned now, where we can get a nice arrow of Kurnos on them. And we actually get a pretty nice lengthwise shot on them. Sisters of Twilight. You know what? We're going to keep sending them in to deal with, to snipe out Warzag. And we're not too worried about them actually taking a lot of damage. Specifically because of their healing ability. It means that as soon as that procs, we'll just run away with the sisters. As long as they don't rout, they'll get a lot of free healing while wasting the greenskin ammunition. These boar riders are now running back, and we can punish them for that by sending a volley into their backs. Sisters of Twilight can continue shooting Warzag, but with the infantry moving up, we'll have to begin going on the run. See, our Waystalker is looking to get engaged, but it is just some boar boys. And with our cavalry forces nearby, we'll be able to shut them down. These rusty rusty archers will can get shut down with the Deepwood Scouts. That's good. And I think we successfully peeled for our Waste Stalker there. And we can begin running away once again. Some more shots will go in on these archers here. Specifically because they are the main way that the greenskins will punish me for my engagements. Anytime I get close, they'll be firing away. So taking them out will be quite helpful. I'm also seeing a gap on the left-hand side for another charge in. And Warzag is starting to get pretty low. Once he's actually out, the Sisters of Twilight will be near unkillable. That's because there won't be any nets to actually pin them down. And there won't be any spells to snipe them out. Speaking of, a gaze of Mork, I think, comes in on the Sisters, bringing them very low. But they just barely haven't triggered their healing yet. Let's see. Some more archers that we can pick off. And the Sisters should now be getting their healing proc. There we go. You just have to make sure that they don't die now. They're going to run and juke from the archers as best they can. Our Deepwood Scouts want to continue running. And I think our opponent really needed to do this aggressive advance a little bit closer. You can see because he was so deployed so far back, it actually has given us a lot of space to kite backwards. And just really just continue punishing him. Let's see, Sisters of Twilight. There we go. We get the nice healing proc on them. And now they're confident to keep on fighting once again. We can position to get a breath attack on those stone trolls. And our archers are going to continue firing in on these unarmored troops, unarmored and unshielded troops, as they are the favorite unit for our archers to shoot at. There we go. And a big rout comes in on the right flank. Let's see here, but actually we let our troops we let our ranged units actually get cut out by some boar cavalry. It's a little bit unfortunate. The Sisters of Twilight too are getting slowed down quite a bit, and we'll have to be careful here, especially with big guns and goblin archers coming in hot on top of our guys. We'll have to make sure that the archers stay safe in the midst of this chaos. The Sisters of Twilight too are in a little bit of a dicey situation, but I think we're almost at the point where our ranged where our cavalry can actually just win out the day. We're unable to continue chasing off the stone trolls, but that's not too bad. We still have the terror, and with Wurzag dead, there isn't a whole much to actually keep the stone trolls together, and I'm expecting they will begin routing due to terror. Our opponent sees the writing on the wall, and GG. So I think the major misplay there is that he went for a rush build and stayed pretty passive for a lot of the game. Even in the late game when we were kiting back, even with all those, with that misplay taken into account, we actually were getting pretty close to the white line there. So if he had been aggressive from the start, it actually probably would have given us quite a bit of trouble. But I think we kited back pretty well there. Poor Wurzag took a whole ton of damage. And we were able to negate a lot of his damage with the healing on the Sisters of Twilight. Surprisingly enough, though, our range units didn't get a whole ton of value. In fact, nothing really got a whole ton of value. I guess it was just sort of terror that won it in the end. And yeah, a lot of his forces were routing too, so. They're sick.